from like a consumer, audience viewer standpoint, I've seen those pieces come across, and I'm just like, they don't seem like there's something off about it. And for me, like, yes, most of like the influencer marketing is scripted work, and like they're essentially being told what to say from the brand or whoever's hiring them. But at the same time, a lot of these influencers still stick to their values and morals and only partner with certain brands that they actually believe in or actually like use their products. And like I can like weed out personally like who I can, actually go to and like trust versus who I can't.
Hey everybody, welcome to B3 Byte Universe, where we dive into the data-driven world of media, technology, and culture. I'm one of your hosts, Brika Phillips-Bell, one of the three co-founders of B3 Media Solutions.
And I'm Sarah Booz, Senior Social Media Analyst and Marketing Specialist here at B3 Media Solutions.
And I'm Taylor Smith. I am the Social Media Manager at B3 Media Solutions and a social catalyst.
And together we represent three generations of Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z, bringing diverse perspectives together to our analysis of digital trends and insights.
And in each episode, we'll break down the latest in data, culture, tech, media, and sound bites that are shaping our digital landscape.
Once a month, we will bring you all the bites. So let's dive into our fourth episode of ByteSized.
Let's get into it.
We're almost 5, y'all.
Oh my goodness.
So the first thing on the agenda is Love Island USA. An exciting one because we've come to realize that Love Island is not just a reality show anymore. It's a full-on brand playground.
Yeah.
And everyone wants a seat in the conversation, us included.
Right.
But from the marketing standpoint, we just wanted to call out that we notice how brands are capitalizing on this reality TV show moment of Love Island USA, and the conversations are just escalating faster than a bombshell coming into the villa. Why? That's because of social media, and TikTok seems to be the main contender here for driving that overall conversation. So let's talk about it.
I thought that we had a competing one though, right? Like it was either Love Island because that is a cultural moment that's happening, but so is Labubu.
The two L's.
And I know, Taylor, Labubu is a thing for you. So
I like the Labubu.
I'm going to let you give us a little taste of Labubu, and then we can decide which one we go with.
So I did a little bit of research. I love Talk Walker Quick Search because it gives us the ability to just kind of see like what conversations are going on extremely quickly.
Yeah. And
so in my search for deciding what we were going to talk about, I was going through Love Island and I was like, you know what else has a lot of mentions?
What?
Labubu. And you know what else is all over my timeline? Labubu. So I did a little bit of research and we saw that Labubu had 1.1 million mentions within the 30-day time span, 30.9 million engagements, and 313 billion in reach, which is a lot.
Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's like
that reaches.
That's a lot.
That's okay. So what are Love Island's metrics, Sarah? So we can decide which way to go.
So according to what Taylor pulls, in the last 30 days, 79 million mentions and 148 million engagements. Breaking it down, I guess, by the top, I'm assuming mentioned contestant or person on the island, Nicolandria was mentioned 43.7 thousand times in the last 7 days and earned over 767,000 total engagements.
Okay, so first of all, like hands down, mentions wise, Love Island wins.
Love Island clears.
And then if we look at engagements wise, Love Island kills.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to
say.
And plus, tomorrow I find out who's getting kicked off the island. So let's do that.
Hopefully, it's multiple people. There's too many bodies in that island. Anyways, because why do we have 20 people? They're large like dimensions. Yeah, lots of numbers. Okay, Sarah. Okay, we'll do Love Island.
But let's like have a shout out for Alandria though, because like killing it on social. Like seriously, everybody's talking about her because she went off.
Because she went off.
Finally.
Finally.
No, seriously. Like I was feeling her. I felt it.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me
a little overdue, but it happened.
Right. It should have happened a while ago, but you know what? I'm here for it. I'm here for it too. Taylor needed his comeuppance.
Yeah. The other Taylor.
Right. Not this Taylor. Not this Taylor, you guys. The other one. Yeah. Okay. Well, then let's get into Love Island. I'm not opposed. I'm tuned in every night. So let's do it.
So Sarah, what do you have for us?
So from my perspective, I'm an OG Love Island fan. So I think it's really interesting coming from that perspective of like, yeah, there was some conversation on socials along the years. As we know, Love Island started in the UK and then it made its way over, across countries, Australia. There's so many versions of them. But I feel like, I don't know, TikTok is always at the center of all of these like spurges of like conversation. And I think without TikTok, it may not have been as big, in my opinion. Maybe the data says otherwise, Taylor. I don't know. Maybe we can look into this after, like the source breakdown of my channel, if we can. But I just really do think that because the conversation is just so wildly different amongst who is talking, and it's just more accepted on TikTok, you wouldn't be able to like pull that off on other platforms like Instagram. Maybe X, but I'm not on X, so I can only speak for Instagram and TikTok. So it's really interesting to kind of hear other people's perspectives on like the Islanders, who they're choosing to couple up with, the decisions they're making. A lot of people have called it a social experiment, which I completely agree with.
It is.
Because it definitely is a social experiment, especially the most interesting point is that they don't even have their phone, so they don't even have access to what the conversation is and what's happening in real time as they're there. So I think that says something about like social versus not social and how that has an impact directly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's really interesting is that I'm on all platforms. So I'm on TikTok, I'm on X, I'm on Instagram. I can't turn a corner. My sister's on Reddit, everybody. So she's a big Reddit person, very scary place, but she loves it. And so we can't turn a corner of the internet without seeing Love Island. Sarah, I completely agree with you. I think the part that has been interesting in terms of it blowing up on TikTok, though, and especially the brands hopping in, is the sound bites, right? Like these sound bites that we get from the show, the Mommy Mamacita thing.
Now it's a song. It's
exactly. Literally, now it's a song, right? Like the Huda saying "My Dream Day," and he knows that. Like these sound bites that we're getting allow brands to easily make a video, hop on to the trend and things like that. And so I think that's interesting there because that speaks to like the auditory things that brands can do, right? But then on X, I feel like it's just consumer conversation for the most part. Like I don't see a lot of like branding conversation. So that's just kind of where that's coming from. But then on Instagram, interestingly enough, there's one particular meme that I keep seeing. I see a lot of people talk about Love Island on Instagram, just in general, like more than I ever have. Like, which has been interesting. But I think that like when people are coming into like meme culture, and so for example, one of my favorite ones that I saw was the dream date one. So people are replacing like the we sat on the beach thing, and we'll provide examples. We sat on the beach, and then Huda goes, my dream date. And it's silly, right? Because it's like she's just saying that they sat on the beach, right? But people are replacing that with a bunch of different things, and that's the main thing I'm seeing like on Instagram, for example. So like one of the ones that was funny to me, because I love the Muppets movie, and so it's like, what did y'all do? And it was like, we watched the Muppets movie, and she was like, my dream date, like you know that, right? Like that's so funny. So it's like that visual part where people are able to kind of like put a meme together. That's what's happening like on the Instagram scene. So it's just like different people and different brands are finding different ways to use the different platforms, but it's all Love Island related, which is like the thing.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we should have a meme that says "My dream date loves data," like or something like.
There you go.
Like literally, we made a data report.
My dream date.
My dream date, and he knows that.
No Boolean query. My dream.
Literally, we made a Boolean query.
This turned into a content strategy meeting.
Yes. We'll be posting that tomorrow.
But I think that to me, what is really cool about what I see, like not only are brands finding a way to like integrate themselves authentically. So like Duolingo has themselves like embedding themselves into the Love Island narrative, acting like cast members instead of, sponsor. Even the fashion that they're wearing, like having, first of all, Megan Thee Stallion on the show, hands down my favorite episode.
Crazy branding moment as well, though.
Exactly, but brands are just kind of like being in, like they are inserting themselves into the chat and the conversation, and it doesn't feel like it's an interruption. So I just feel like I'm spying in, and brands that are supposed to be there kind of like are showing up, and it really is having a good effect on the brands that are participating.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good note for brands to authentically insert themselves into the conversation, into even a television show like this. It really helps to boost the audience connection and makes them part of the entertainment instead of like the interruption that happens at commercials.
Absolutely. And I think too, like what's interesting, part of the reason I even thought, I literally was texting you, Barik, and I was like, I don't know what to do for Quick Bite. And then immediately I saw IHOP's TikTok because we're on our like second pancake conversation, right? Where like Chris gave the 2 pancakes and to Shelly and only gave 1 to Huda. But
like you couldn't have gave her 2 pancakes, but
it was but IHOP did, so they're doing this thing where they're making it seem like they have their syrup dispensers that everybody loves, and so they're making it seem like they're talking. And so obviously we'll insert this so that you guys can see, but they're doing it as they're talking, and so they use that pancake conversation to make it seem like the syrup dispensers were talking, and then like gave me 1 pancake, they show 1 pancake because it's IHOP. And then they show 2 pancakes on that part. And then I was like, oh, we should talk about Love Island.
This is my shameless plug to Beats right now. I'm just going to like insert them in while we're there and make sure. That was my integration moment.
Exactly.
Right. Integration placement.
Right. But that's exactly what it is. And so I think that has been awesome. The brands that I've been seeing, the football teams coming in on the Nicolandria chat was so funny. That was so funny.
That was definitely I was just like I was kind of blown away about the fact that they got into the conversation, because it's just like I
was shocked.
Like I love how you found that way in, because
it was amazing.
Like brands have to find their way into the conversation creatively. And they like it really has taken this life of its own of like, how can I insert myself into culture? And brands that took the time to like figure out ways to do that like are really winning with Love Island.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I completely agree. Yeah, it's great. I can't wait to see what happens.
I was like, so I think that the organicness of this, I don't know. I know that Gen Z loves it, but I think like Gen X is like I have my friends and we talk about it.
Exactly. And it's pulling all types of people into the conversation. So I feel like nobody feels left out. And then that speaks to like, obviously we have this show because we have different perspectives on brands and like different brands that we follow, but it's like no man is left out in this conversation. So I think that's awesome.
But truth be told, Sarah was the one that made me start watching the show.
Good job, Sarah. Good job, Sarah.
Now here we are.
Here we are.
Problem now. So.
That's funny. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's a good problem.
An amazing problem to have.
But that was really cool. Like, so I definitely appreciate that quick bite.
Yeah, that was great. And so
what else was on the agenda?
Let's move on to our game segments.
Okay.
I have a fun thing planned for us today. And it actually is based on a conversation that Sarah, you and I had one time. because we were talking about Poppi, the soda brand, and Olipop.
Yes. Controversial.
And I feel like that it is controversial. It's so controversial. And I feel like that's a common debate that people have.
Yes.
What about culture pop? Like, is that, no?
So the thing
because I was like,
the thing with culture pop is what is their, I don't know if they're like, they have a brand strategy or marketing strategy in place, honestly. So I never have seen them.
What I'll say was
themselves of Bristol Farms, and that is it.
Okay.
So probably a different demographic, I would say.
Yeah, and the mentions were a bit low for me to include them in the game. I was like, I feel like we have too much of a gap in the mentions. Okay. But shout out to Culture Pop. We do always have it at the office.
Yes. And if you need some help, hey.
Right.
Like, hit us up.
Figure out what your
competitors are doing. Get you to a place where we can include you in this game.
Yeah.
So
right.
Yeah, I was remembering a conversation that Sarah, you and I had. It was amongst when we were talking about what we wanted to talk about for a quick bite, and we were kind of like looking at stuff, and Pepsi had just acquired Poppi, and you were like, have you tried Olipop? And I was like, I don't know. I kind of stood strong on my Poppi because I love the cherry limeade. And so I was thinking, who really has the higher sentiment? Because some people really ride for Poppi, and others really ride for Olipop, and others just grab whatever they can at the store. So
I'm interested to know.
I was like, let's go ahead and use them in Sentiment Showdown. So Sentiment Showdown is a game that we will be playing today. I have looked at the metrics involving Poppi and Olipop, and I used, again, Talkwalker Quick Search to see for the last 30 days what their sentiment breakdown was. So what you guys will be doing is guessing who had the higher sentiment.
Okay.
And then I will give you guys some key bits of information of what has happened in the last 30 days with the brand and what people have been talking about. And then based on that, you guys can make a hopefully informed decision.
Challenge accepted.
Okay, starting with Poppi. Poppi had 12.8 thousand mentions in the last 30 days. Okay. This is what's going on with Poppi. There is ongoing buzz from Pepsi's rumored acquisition, which is a true acquisition now. I just think it's not completely fooled through. So, ongoing buzz from Pepsi's acquisition. There has been a lot of widespread praise as Poppi as a fun alcohol-free alternative, even though it's a soda. So a lot of people still use it in terms of like just a fun drink that they can drink or something that they can mix with a mocktail. And that was like a big conversation. Okay. Lots of consumer chatter calling it the better tasting option among the prebiotic sodas. So people prefer Poppi to other prebiotic sodas. Many influencers featuring Poppi in their lifestyle and daily routine content, like a lot. And then frequent mentions across platforms in health conscious data soda conversations, of course. Some chatter about the pricing and the ingredients, specifically that it is the more expensive option. Okay. And lastly, in the last 30 days, they did launch a gaming-focused market push to reach younger audiences.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Good?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to move on to Olipop. So, Olipop had 3.1 thousand mentions, which is significantly lower. Okay. So, Aldi, they worked with Aldi. So, Aldi is the supermarket.
Grocery store.
Exactly. And it has it's notably accessible. So they just have cheaper options. So they worked with Aldi to have a 4-pack promotion that, so a 4-pack was $8.99. So speaks to affordability, accessibility. Amazon had a VIP box campaign with Olipop. And so they sold 5,000 PR boxes for 5 cents each to people. And so obviously within the PR packages, they were able to receive them, and there were a variety of sodas that they could try. Okay. There are complaints around flavor inconsistencies and digestive side effects, which I also remember because Sarah, you did tell me that Olipop had less fiber, like notably less fiber. So that tracks. There also is continued discussion from February of Olipop's position in. So Poppi had a Super Bowl commercial, and it was about the vending machines. Then it was found out that the vending machines were like $25,000, which kind of spoke to the inaccessibility, right, of Poppi. And Olipop continually commented like on Poppi being the less favorable and less accessible soda, kind of positioning themselves as the people's champ and like amplifying Poppi criticism. But like it wasn't like consumers were like, oh, Olipop is the better one. They were making those comments themselves.
Got it.
So there was like further chatter about that.
Okay.
That was a lot of information, but that is the chatter on these two prebiotic soda companies. So the first question I will ask you is, who has the higher who has the higher positive sentiment, Poppi or Olipop?
I'll go first. I'm gonna stick by my soda side and say Olipop had the higher sentiment. Biased, but
Okay. The first one was Poppi,
Mm-hmm.
and the second one was Olipop. So I'm gonna go with Poppi.
Okay.
As the
Do we
higher.
have some reasonings, or are we just it just was based on the information we took in? Because that could be it too.
for me, what I'm going to say is a big factor that I'm just like thinking is going to outweigh everything that you just stated in terms of like the positives for Poppi is the whole Pepsi acquisition deal. Because I personally saw a lot of chatter on both platforms, Instagram and TikTok, around that and how like that kind of defeats the purpose of the brand and the whole, wellness appeal and all that. So to me, that is a direct negative effect for consumers, So that's kind of like, aside from the biased, that's my second biggest reason.
Got it.
Why I think that.
No, I think those are great reasons. So I'm going with Poppi. And that's simply because, like, while I understand Pepsi really has driven a lot of negativity after they moved away from DEI practices, and people were very upset. And the fact that once they did acquire them, people felt like they sold out. I still think that they had a very strong, like, influencer base. And even I'm seeing on like Kale app, like, micro influencers being activated to create content and UGC for them, which is going to resonate positively. But also, I do think that, and this is personal opinion, I think the flavor is better. And I like the flavors that Poppi has. And I feel like a lot of people who are into prebiotic sodas say the same thing.
Yeah.
That's short answer.
Those are all great reasonings. Like that resonates with me. Okay.
Who won?
You ready?
Yes. Okay. Drum roll.
Sarah, you got it. Olipop does have the higher sentiment. So Olipop has a 41.6% positive sentiment and a 12.4 negative sentiment. And I also, that's why I gave you guys the mentions, because I do feel like it is a bit attributed to that. The more chatter, the more possibility for just that split to be different. Poppi has 22.9 positive and 39.5 negative. So, and it is a lot to do with the Pepsi chatter.
Yeah, I figured that.
Yeah. That's unfortunate for them. Yeah.
But I mean, they can market, and answer those questions, or like appeal to those people that have those concerns, if that's what they still value and care about.
Yeah,
it's a reputation management thing, and if the brand, I'm sure they have someone that's like seeing the commentary around Poppi and kind of like why people are bringing it down, and without developing a strategy to kind of like answer that and like overcome that. Yeah, I can see that would definitely, but I'm more so interested in what are the sales, like who's selling more.
Yeah.
While people are negatively discussing it, are you still buying it?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm curious
That is
too.
a great question. And I'm going to just look it up for fun after that because, yeah, absolutely. How is that converting?
Looking things up for fun.
We love knowledge for fun.
Cream day.
Well, that's the game I have for you guys.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks, Taylor.
Well then, okay, so let's get into our full Byte deep discussion. And I think that this is something that is like near and dear to our heart because we're starting to see it more. And I think a lot of you guys are probably starting to see it as well. And it's just this rise of AI influencers. So they are like one of the most powerful branding tools that we have seen come through in like decades. And my first question is are we watching the erasure of what it means to just be influential in the first place? So in the last month, there's been 38,000 social mentions about AI influencers, nearly about 38,000. And that is, of course, from Talkwalker Kick Search. And we've seen that more than 75% of that conversation is actually positive. Like, I'm surprised by that because you're seeing brands like Prada's Candy and KFC's Colonel Kai like being created, and they offer the brands total control, zero scandal risk, and 24/7 engagement. So for marketers, like that's like our dream to have that. But for human creators, it's definitely poses a problem. So here's where it gets complicated, and the data shows that the audiences are split because some people say, who cares if it's real? Influence is already curated and scripted online. Others are asking if influencer is fake, is the influence even real? And creators, of course, and rightly so, are sounding the alarm about job displacement and the ethics of using digital avatars that are modeled after real people, and even sometimes with a consent. So, and I do want to say that like AI influencers are already outperforming many human creators in terms of engagement, cost efficiency, particularly in fashion, beauty, e-commerce. And the latest report that I saw was that 60% of marketers who even tried AI influencers were satisfied with the results because they did not have pushback. They got their content done on time, and over half of them plan to use them again. So we are starting to see this evolution of AI influencers where brands can simply manufacture authenticity at scale and reach new audiences with avatars that don't sleep. So I'm how do you guys feel about like what you've been seeing and like where it's going as far as of influencer marketing?
Well, the first thing I would be interested and curious to see down the line, I don't know if 6 months time or a year, is context behind that data, Brika, because while they may be generating, more engagements and conversation, I'm also wondering, is it because of how like uncanny and controversial it is? You know what I mean? So it's like, I see this AI woman content creator influencer pop up on my feed. More than likely, I'm going to send it to someone else and be like, wait, look at this. Like, I thought this was real for a second, or comment on it and be like, well, like this is crazy or whatever. So I'm just curious to know like what that conversation looks like from that perspective, because yes, while the engagement numbers might be better, is it helping the brand that they're, partnering with, or, what does that look like from that standpoint, in terms of marketing, influencer marketing? The other thing is that I had another point and I'm blanking on it right now.
Well, that was an amazing point that you
I was like, that was a really good
literally I didn't really think of that.
Because from like a consumer, audience viewer standpoint, I've seen those pieces come across, and I'm just like, they don't seem like there's something off about it.
Yes,
and it might get better, but I think it's always gonna miss like that human factor. And for me, like, yes, there some, most of like the influencer marketing is scripted work, and like they're essentially being told what to say from the brand or whoever's hiring them. But at the same time, a lot of these influencers still stick to their values and morals and only partner with certain brands that they actually believe in or actually like use their products. And like, I can like weed out personally, like who I can, actually go to and like trust versus who I can't.
Yeah, but a lot of people
So
can't. And so what I was seeing on TikTok were a lot of people like sending AI generated ads to their mom or to their, to especially the older people,
yeah,
like they aren't able and as quick
Right.
sometimes to determine and decipher whether this is real or fake. And so to your point of engagement, I think that that is interesting because I've sent stuff to people and said, this is AI, this is so fake, look at this.
yes,
And that would be, that was a very treasured action of I saw a post, I sent it to someone and shared it to them. That counts as a share. So that was a very active engagement.
Mhm.
and they clicked on the link and viewed it.
And
So double
exactly.
the engagement.
So exactly. So you're to your point, like, and that is truly phenomenal, truly brilliant. Though, is what are those actions really saying? Even
Right.
though it's been very positive.
Yeah. And I do think that like it's interesting because I feel like we're in this rise of people very heavily marketing to Gen Z,
Yeah.
right? Like we just talked about Love Island, and even though we just talked about how it is spanning across like generations, it really started with Gen Z.
Yeah.
So and we talk about that often here on Bite Size. So I feel as though I'm curious to see. I think it's uncanny. I'm like uncomfortable with it, right? But I'm curious to see, like you said, Sarah, how does that longevity happen with Gen Z? Because I feel like we're the ones really buying things like that.
Right.
Like I feel like when I think about who influencers are for,
Right.
I think about Gen Z, some millennials. I feel like older generations don't really need influencers influence to buy things. Like I think we're kind of getting into it, but it's not as much for that audience as it is for us.
100%.
I would differ in that opinion
Okay.
because I feel like as you get into different stages of your life,
Hmm.
like you look for like for instance, like I was looking for like other women that have short hair and how they maintain their hair. And so I look for influencers that have natural hair care and how they cut it and how they shape it and how they take care of it. So I feel like it's not just and yes, there are most of the brands that are trying it are probably Gen Z, but I don't think that we are beyond influencers depending on your age if you are socially like if you're into
If
social
you're
media.
into social media. So
Yeah.
then I guess my question for you then, like in that regard, is like because for me that feels more like search engine because I use TikTok as a search engine too, and I'm also visually a like I'm a search person in terms of I need video, right? Um, so it's like how do those things differ? Like an influencer saying like, "Hey, buy this Poppi," versus like I need to know how people with like, for example, my same hair type do their hair. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, do you think it's going to extend into that type of thing? Because how not how could it? Clearly things can happen, but like you know what I mean? Does that
No,
make sense?
I definitely feel like they could have generational
Mhm.
avatars that you have a woman in her 40s, they have this product that is specifically geared to or women that are menopausal or women that are looking to to like do their facial routines and things
Mhm.
like that. You could have different avatars that are set up and created for those purposes to market to women of different ethnicities, different ages,
Yeah,
different stages.
yeah,
I think that that is entirely possible, but I just think right now brands are really hot on Gen Z, and the more risky brands, the ones that are putting themselves out there, are dedicating it to them because they think that you'll be more receptive
receptive.
than
Yeah.
Well,
older audience.
that's what I think Taylor was touching on is that Gen Z is more they like they're the over consumers.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about this before, not in bite size, but like in like one of our blog, posts down the line, where we overconsume. Like
Yeah.
and TikTok again is to blame for that because like every other, video, it's TikTok shop, like
Yeah.
post, and it doesn't look like an ad. It looks like a regular
Yeah.
lifestyle, content piece, but at the same time they're trying to sell you something, and they're making it to the point where you feel like, oh my gosh, I need this.
Exactly.
And it's on sale, like, you know what I mean? So it's like you know, we already know, like, it's all like gimmicks and all that. But so I think, to Taylor's point, like, I do see it kind of being more targeted to the Gen Z demographic versus like older demographics, because I don't know, they just don't fall for things like that. But I mean, they do, you know, they are easily influenced still, just not as, I guess, much as the younger generations.
I think one point that like we didn't really touch on is like how they are creating them, because like as an actress, I know that I've seen castings where they're like, we are looking for people, like actors, to come in and do an avatar, and I don't know if they're using, like, they're asking for your voice, they're asking for and but they're posing it as like an acting job. So a lot of, and I can spot it, but you know, a lot of people that are like, I want $250 can easily like be led astray in that, because they aren't looking at the fact that they're trying to get your voice, like they're trying to get your likeness. And once they have that, like, you've signed away your rights for $250 and they can use you in perpetuity. I mean, like, even like that goes into CapCut and what they did in their whole term. So like,
y'all, we're so mad over here at B3 about the CapCut thing. Like,
standing on business.
We've been looking for a new editor for like a week and a half now.
We're standing on business. We are not with it in perpetuity. You cannot do likeness. I do not agree.
Absolutely not. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that, like, even to your point, it's like it starts with ads, right? It starts with something small, like, let's put an ad out there, okay, and then like now we're in whole movies and shows that are like using likeness and things too, and like how does that affect like we've kind of been talking about, like, job displacement. Like, not, I think influencers, it feels like it's at a small scale. I think that, like, even though we know the impact of influencers and how important they are to socials, I think that people often look down on it as a job and things like that. So it doesn't feel, I think, maybe to people as important. It's just like, well, it's just an influencer, like we can replace that or whatever. But then, you know, when they start using your likeness to creep into other big things, it's like the conversation started here, right? Like, where it was just like an ad.
I just want to know, is there a person that's like, that's me, that's my face, like
I know,
like, I'm waiting for that.
I am waiting for that.
It's coming.
Because it's been a lot of women as well. And I was going to say this as we were talking, because I think we kind of strayed to this point of like women, right? We were saying like women over this age looking for things, like women are the biggest consumers. That is like actually a whole thing where, like, if you make a media kit as an influencer, they want to see that, like, who is your audience and are they women, because women consume, right? So that's another thing. So I've yet to see one be a man.
That's actually true.
That's true. Why is that? Why are there are no men? You're right. I've seen so many AI ads. It's always women.
And if you've seen a man one, drop the link.
Literally,
like,
I need to see
you're
this.
making one with a man. I want to see an AI avatar that is a man.
Yes.
Like,
I haven't seen it.
How are men? Because even men are being fooled on Instagram, like, and TikTok.
They're being way fooled. My dad, sorry, daddy, you all the time sending me things. Cameron had to finally be like, Dad, that's AI.
Yeah, no, seriously though.
And that's the TikTok that I saw on about AI ads, and like older generations were not able to tell the difference. Thankfully, my parents are not on social media, so
might be the best decision
right,
they made.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like that this is something that we will have to continue to talk about and continue to bring up, because it's going to get bigger. Just like AI just kind of like came out of, it didn't come out of nowhere, but it just blossomed when it was released to everyone and it was an open forum. I think this is one of those things that we're going to see like blow up over time.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
And definitely leave us a comment on how you feel. Would
Yeah.
you be able to be influenced if somebody was presenting something to you and they were AI and you knew they were AI? That's a question that I have for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I feel like, does that human connectivity matter to you? We're not judging you. I just want to know.
I just want to know.
I genuinely just want to know for research purposes.
All data purposes.
For data purposes. Data, correct. Asking for a friend who does data. But yeah, no, it's definitely a conversation.
No, but this was great, guys. I really enjoyed like the whole like different perspectives of that. So Sarah, what do we let's recap what we did today.
Recap. So we decided on whether we were going to talk about Labubus or Love Island. And we chose Love Island, the other L. And then we dove right into, what do we dive into?
The sentiment Poppi versus Olipop, in which Sarah is reigning supreme. She is an Olipop defender and reigning supreme in that argument. We have yet to beat her. Okay.
So dove into Olipop versus Poppi in the Sentiment Showdown. Olipop won. And no, not bragging. And then we talked about AI influencer marketing and what our thoughts are on that, where we think it's going to go, and just, tracking it and seeing what happens. Kind of scary, guys, but so that is pretty much our recap for this episode, and I will pass it to you, Taylor, to finish it off.
Yes, absolutely. Before we wrap up this episode, we would love to hear your thoughts. I feel like we talked about so much. We want to hear your thoughts on the AI influencers. So drop a comment below. And yeah, let us know what you think.
And if you have any other questions or want us to dig into data and bring that to either Quick Byte or our full Byte, please let us know. Thanks for tuning in to this 4th episode of ByteSized, and we will see you here next month for another ByteSized deep dives where we will bring the tea and data once again. So connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram at B3 Media Solutions, and on X at B3MS Inc. And lastly, you can always visit our website at www.b3mediasolutions.com. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye.